இது actually ரெண்டு talks. One on the spacing and on the harmony, and then pushing the technology forward. அதெல்லாத்தையும் combine பண்ணி ஒரே presentation பண்ண போறேன். தமிழ்ல பேசினா புரியுதுல எல்லாருக்கும்? இல்லை இங்கிலீஷில் தான் பேசணும்னு சொல்றீங்களா? I can speak both. We'll do bilingual. Wherever I can, I'll switch. Okay. I always like to connect between presentations. So நேற்று தாரிக் வந்து calligraphy workshop செய்யும்போது, when I did my workshop, I took one of the calligraphically drawn car and made it into a letter form. பார்த்தீங்களா என்னது? I didn't finish it. I just showed you how to do it. So அதே மாதிரி முதல்ல ஒரு டைட்டில்ஸ்லாம் காமிச்சிட்டு இருந்தார், மாஸ்டர்ஸ்லாம் காமிச்சிட்டு இருந்தார், மூவி டைட்டில்ஸ்லாம் காமிச்சிட்டு இருந்தார். So I'll tell you a story. I'll show you something that I did with a movie poster some time ago. This is a 1948 movie, I think. Jnana Soundarin solite. And I like to see all this, but just like how Tariq has collected all that, I've not collected them because I think Google has done the work for me. So when I search for old Tamil movie posters, I get very nice lettering. அவர் சொன்னார், you draw inspiration from other scripts அப்படின்னு. இந்த ஞான சௌந்தரின்ற டைட்டில் வந்து, the inspiration is actually from another script. What is that script? I'm running the quiz now. What is that script? The ஞான சௌந்தரின்னு எழுதிருக்கு இல்லையா? Can you read? No, okay. That design inspiration actually came from another script. Latin. It's actually Gothic. Gothic design எடுத்து தமிழுக்கு அப்ளை பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அது நிறைய நம்ம பார்த்துருக்கோம். We'll see a lot of this design and we think that is authentically old Tamil நினைக்கிறோம். It's actually not Tamil. It's actually Gothic அப்படின்ற ஒரு black letter type of design. Now, I liked this very much, especially நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா and the dimples, in every letter. I like the dimples in every letter. I like the way the na oda tail irukla, na oda vaal irukla, the way it connected to the stem. The gate, where the tail connects to the gate. I like that connection point. It's not fully connected, it's not half connected, it's the way it touches. Some of these things inspired me, and I thought, if it was Tariq, he will probably go and take a calligraphic pen and draw. I'm a type designer, so I quickly bring up my glyphs and started drawing some of these letters. I actually traced some of it, but it wasn't as productive, so I started drawing and I created this. So I made some changes. I don't like the na's tail to be vaala vettana mari na ezhudha maata nanu epovume vaala murusa dhaan vechirupom. The re was halfway. If you look at the earlier slide, you see the re was halfway. If you see from far, it looks like r. So we don't know whether it's a male or a female. Jnana Soundariyan theriyadu durathil irundhu paatha. So I made the ihara koki explicit. The nya, I pulled the tail, pulled the curve all the way to the front. So I made changes like this. But just drawing these letters alone is not enough to produce a font, right? So I went ahead and designed all the other letters using the same concept. But I reduced the Gothicness a little bit and wanted something more original. So it was reduced the sharpness of the edge and made it more curvy. But the dimples are still there. I also included the old Pariya Nailan Kamchara. That actually is very interesting. He showed two mastheads of the same thing. ஒரு இதில் அந்த லை வந்து அந்த லெட்டரோட ஹைட்டில் இருக்குது, ஒரு இதில் வந்து கூட இருக்குது. But I like the longer one because it reduces the density. I'll talk about all that in a short while. So those are the old styles. And then all the type designs that I make today, Tamil type designs that I make today, I will have a matching Latin. At least the ASCII, at least to do English and Malay for my country. So when I do the English, introducing the dimples in English was a bit too much. It crowded the already simplified letter forms. So I reduced the dimple. The dot on the I is the same as the dot on the pulli minus the dimple. But it actually matches. When you typeset Tamil and English on the same line, it takes a while for you to tell that that's Tamil and English. You know, so I'm starting this because the talk is about harmony. So that's how you design for harmony across multiple scripts. You know, in our everyday lives, we deal with multiple scripts. We are no longer isolated to do just one script. Tamil mattum na panna mudiyadhu. Enga naatla Malay mattum, English mattum na panna mudiyadhu. We have to deal with multiple scripts. And when we design for multiple scripts, we want them to work together harmoniously. I don't know how many of you attended the opening ceremony yesterday. We made a point that designers often omit Tamil or any other Indian language because they've done the poster so beautifully in English. They can't find a matching Tamil or Malayalam or Devanagari typeface. I say, no need, because if you add that, you'll spoil the beauty. Tamil poda matanga. You know, from a designer point of view, yeah, I mean, they make a lot of sense because they've spent so much time, and then you go and put a letter that doesn't match, it kills the whole beauty. Yeah? So when I'll recommend the same if you are doing it, design for both scripts together, or design for multiple scripts together. I'm going to show some examples of it going forward. Okay. I mean, you're familiar with all this, right? We talked about this in the workshop yesterday. When you do type design versus calligraphy, when you do type design, the letters need to work with each other. They shouldn't be dominating. Each letter should not come and say, hey, look at me first. Don't look at E, look at A. They shouldn't be fighting for attention. They should all work in harmony. Size needs to be homogeneous. Adukkagathaan, they have matrix lines like X height, cap height, ascender, descender, so that you design letters to fit in those grids, those matrix lines. And then you have weights, right? You have multiple weights. This is something that is not very common in Indian scripts. You can't find the same design across multiple weights, but I'm going to show you some examples of that. And style matching. Style matching is an area that is very, very close to me, especially during these times, because I'm doing extensive research on that. What do we do for emphasis when you write a document in English? Okay, let me phrase it another way. You're writing a document in English and you want to add a quote. What do you do? That's an emphasis. So what do you do? Italics. So when you're writing a document in Tamil and when you want to do an emphasis, what do? Italics. Because Microsoft Word or whatever word processing software that you use has an I button. So you click, you must get italics, right? But are we doing justice to the design? No, because when you type, I will never use the typeface that starts with A. Okay, Shri. Right? So I'm using, say, Times Roman. Everybody knows what that is, right? And when I click, I select a piece of text in Times Roman, and I click italics, what do you see? Completely different design. Do you see the upright Times Roman slanted, or do you see a completely designed form, a different form? What do you see? Completely designed, different. I mean, you see connected lines. You see curvatures. You see cursiveness in the design, right? That is what we call true italics, where the designer has spent time, designed a matching italics design for the regular typeface. Tamil அது மாதிரி இல்லை நமக்கு. The reason is, Tamil மட்டும் இல்லை, most Indian languages, and please correct me if we've got other experts here. From my experience, the concept of italics did not come from here. It's a Latin concept. Italics for emphasis is a Latin concept. What have we done for italics, or what have we done for emphasis? Nothing. Because ஓலைச்சுவடியில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஸ்பேஸ் கூட இருக்காது. There's no space between words. புள்ளி கூட போட மாட்டாங்க. அந்த திருக்குறள் பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணாங்களா, காலையில் காமிச்சாங்களா, I have a copy of that, proud owner of a copy. நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதில் புள்ளி இருக்காது. புள்ளின்னு சொன்னா the dot above the அதுவும் இருக்காது, line endings இருக்காது. Of course that book is formatted, but if you look at the OLHOVD, line endings இருக்காது, word space இருக்காது, paragraph space இருக்காது. இதுவே இல்லை, அதுக்கு மேலே நம்ம emphasis கேட்டோம்னா asking too much இல்லையா? So we did not have that concept. But it doesn't mean that we cannot introduce that concept, right? When you click italics, when the button is already there, Microsoft Word actually goes and looks if there is a true italic design for that font. Only when it is absent, it tries to slant the upright. Apple doesn't even do that, because Apple says italics is a different design. I shouldn't insult the designer. All right? So that's a big area of work for all of us to do, researchers, designers, everybody. We have to come with new frameworks of emphasis design for Indian languages, Tamil and other Indian languages. So Tamil type design, நேற்று நான் type design workshopல சொன்னேன், the big difference between designing Latin and designing Tamil is to get the letter appear in the form it should appear itself is a big challenge. How do you draw O? One circle, boom. How do you draw E? You got to bring it down, then that proportion, you got to do all that. So getting the letter to shape, pa alaga varanjirla, but adha kuda proportional vareno. So that we have a higher stroke density. Right? Devanagari may not, but the conjunct forms do. But generally, South Indian scripts, we have a higher stroke density compared to Latin. So when I design Tamil and English together, not all designs of mine will have the same height for the letters. Sila design the English must appear smaller than Tamil. Otherwise, because English has lower stroke density, if you make them the same height, English will look bigger. The Latin will look bigger than Tamil. அதுக்கு script dominance ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. It looks like the Latin is dominating Tamil. You put them on the same line, on the same point size, Latin will say, hey, look at me first. It'll draw all the attention. So that you lose harmony in that place. So in glyphs yesterday, the software that I introduced to you yesterday, after all these discussions, that I know the developers very well, they're good friends of mine, so they introduced the concept of pa height. So if you select file new, create from template and say I want to create a Tamil font in the matrix so there will be a pa height and there will be a x height, and they need not be the same. That will vary according to design. Some will have the x height lower than pa height, some will have the same. Are you all following me? I know I'm standing before lunch, but just bear with me just for a short while. So Tamil unlike lowercase Latin and uppercase Latin, you can draw two lines and write everything on the same line. But we can't do that. Pa height irundalo, it only helps with the consonant letters and some vowel letters. But other vowel letters will go high above, bottom below. Adukona evlo keela pona evlo mela pona அப்படின்றதெல்லாம் it's up to the designer. Some of them I've seen texts where the igaram, E, the second vowel in the last line, some of them write in such a way most of the letter is below the baseline. Right? Some of them put it sitting on the baseline and extending all the way upwards. In Singapore, there is a rule that Singapore uses my software and my fonts. So there's one version of my software, particularly for school book use. Adula enna solluvaanga, the E must sit on the baseline, the Igaram must not go beyond this extender. Can you imagine cramming it into that space? Well, I'm still discussing with them, trying to speak from a typographer point. It's a battle between typography and pedagogy. Let's see. So these are the challenges that we have. Right? Challenges in sonna kastam la. It makes it interesting. For me, it makes it exciting to do Tamil because we have a lot more parameters to play with compared to Latin. Cool. So here's an example. Can you see, idhula vandu na igaratha romba irakala. I just made it go slightly below the baseline and raise the rest of the curves above the par height. The rest of it sit between the par height. Our two problems, the vowels, the major problems in our vowels, kuda avlo peri problem kediyadu. You know some part of it will go below the baseline. Our two big problems are the I, which also impacts ja, because ja and I are the same. Inga I dhaan potrukka, but ja and I, they have similar thing. O has to go descend. Evlo duram descend panano adalla. All descenders doesn't have to be, see, like Devanagari, they're all hanging letters. Only the headline is the same, the rest are all hanging. So Indian languages, Indian scripts descended from the same source, Brahmi script. So there are some characteristics that are equal. Now I show you the other slide. Inga pathingala ra. Malayalam பண்ணும்போது, I also designed Malayalam. Malayalam பண்ணும்போது நமக்கு இருக்கிற பெரிய challenge வந்து இந்த ra வந்து baseline-ல இருந்து pa height-குள்ளார அடங்கணும். நமக்கு ra கீழ போகுது. But of course, ra is simpler. It doesn't go like that. It just goes like that. And I should sit, or ja should sit on the baseline to the pa height. So can you imagine squeezing that much of curves into that small space? Then you'll see smudginess a little bit there. So all these are the challenges that we have. Nana, my friend Nana is not here. Yeah. That's why I don't have anybody to bully today. Right. In all my Tamil type design, I always include the historical forms. So idhukku na kaamikren historical form. Show you. Okay. You see the historical forms. Idhula vande in Word also has that, but Word doesn't show historical forms. They just say all ligatures. But in Apple's font menu, you can actually go and tweak individual features of the font. This is what OpenType technology allows you to do. For example, when I typed it, I just typed it as I would normally type. Can you see? Right? But I want this to be displayed in the historical forms. I just choose historical ligatures, it gives you that. So I can do this in almost all typesetting software or word processing software, including Word, InDesign, எல்லாத்துலயுமே இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணலாம். So you can actually include the old forms into that. Why do we have to do that? Of course, the question is why not? There are only 7 letters you have to do. 7 கூட பாதி தான். அந்த லை ஒரு தடவை பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா you take away 4 designs already. The reason is, when you want, like this is supposed to be a casual typeface, it can be used for display at times. அவங்க வந்து, it can be used for something that reflects an old, maybe an evening of old songs. TMS Kalairavu or something like that, and you want to do a poster, or 60s music, Kalairavu nu poduva, and lie pazhaya laila potting incident, like gives you that feeling of that old time, So it doesn't mean that these letters are out of usage anymore. I mean, they are not in regular usage. It doesn't mean we need to throw them out. Just like A, you have single deck A, you have double deck A. They are both available in the fonts. So why not we provide them in the fonts? The other reason is, for normal text typeface, I always include them because when my sister was doing a thesis for her teacher's training, she came and said, அண்ணா இந்த பழைய எழுத்து இப்படி தான் எழுதுறாங்கன்னு சொல்கிறதுக்கு அந்த எழுத்து வேணும் அப்படின்னு. இந்த லை வந்து இப்படி தான் எழுதப்பட்டது அப்படின்னு காமிக்கிறதுக்கு அந்த எழுத்து வேணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So we will need that. So you can have all of that on the same font. So let's go back. Right? Now, there are a lot of other things we can talk about. Because of the interest of time, I'm only going to focus on a few. Signs is not SCIENCE, it's SIGNS, right? They all should be matching. Most of the signs that you type from the keyboard are designed to match Latin. So the dollar is designed to match an uppercase Latin. the hashtag is designed to match uppercase Latin. So you type a hashtag and then put a Tamil thing, you will see the hashtag completely separately. They are not harmonized. One very common area where you can clearly see a disharmony is when you do numbers from a Latin font mixed with a Tamil font. So that's why I designed the numbers inside my font myself, so that they blend with my design. Right? Tamil numbers are naturally there. I'll always design Tamil numbers in my font. I think there is a new, they're trying to use that as secondary numbers. Every English la vande A, number 1, அப்புறம் ABC போட்டு number 2 ABC போறோம்ல அந்த மாதிரி they are trying to use Tamil numbers for that அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு finding கிடைச்சது. But that or not, no harm to put the numbers in there. And there's no need to worry about Tamil numbers because they are based on Tamil characters, they will blend. But our numbers, the numbers that we use, always don't match. They cause disharmony. But there are other options that we can play with, because in numbers, in OpenType, there are so many number styles you can design. The standard number, the default one, then you can have tabular numbers, which means all the widths of all the numbers are the same. You use that for tabs, tabulars. You can do old style numbers, or they call lowercase numbers at that time, where சில எழுத்து மேலே இருக்கும், சில எழுத்து கீழே இருக்கும். For me, that blends very well with Tamil. So if I'm typing something in Tamil and put some numbers in there, I'll show you an example. Okay? I'm showing you a few slides to talk about harmony. So this is my font called Annai, which is available on macOS. It's been shipping in macOS since, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. If you can see, 1, 2, 3, the fifth line, 1, 2, 3, fourth word is Tamil numbers. See, it doesn't, I need to give you the coordinate for you to see. It doesn't draw you. It doesn't say, in another number, in a par, in a but if you see 123.4.56, immediately draws you and says, see me first. Because that's actually designed to match Latin. But if you look at the 1234.56, 2 lines below, that's the old style number. That blends quite harmoniously with Tamil, because I measured the height to match the pa height and not the extender height. All right? Now there are some text type design that I've done where I actually match the Tamil numbers to the, igara koki oiram irukku illaya, adha konjam korava pannirpen. So that number works beautifully with Tamil. But if you use the same font to set English, it may not work very well. So those are moments. We had a discussion of this in BITS in Bangkok in October last year, where they were talking about designing Khmer, which is Cambodian script, and Latin together. Then I voiced it and said, no, when you design, you have to first choose a primary script. Then the secondary script plays for the primary script. So in our Tamil font design, Tamil is the primary script. The Latin will play, to be in harmony with my Tamil script. So சில சமயங்கள்ல default number system வந்து தமிழுக்கு ஏற்றவாறு பண்ணிட்டு, then I'll have another one, tabular form, to match the Latin. Now, can you see the last 2 words are actually English? And it actually blends quite well, right? Now, I have to show one thing there. When I first designed the English letters, it was actually more rounded. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the English letters பார்த்தீங்கன்னா condense பண்ணியிருக்க மாதிரி இருக்கும் இல்லையா? The reason is to harmonize that with the Tamil letters. Otherwise, when I first designed the English letters, they were not as condensed. They looked very big, and they were dominating the document. And I had the greatest pleasure of working with the late Herat Unger, who is a very well-known type designer, teacher, speaker, author. He's written, you try and get his book called While You Are Reading. It's a lovely book. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to study with him. So he sat down with me and one evening and says, come, let's do fitting. And he says, condense the English a little bit. அந்த மாதிரி condense பண்ணி போட்டோன்னே it matches. Now it gets even more complicated now because I'm going to add one more script. What's that? Devanagari. So this font does 3 scripts now. Tamil, Latin, and Devanagari. Can you see the 4th line and the 3rd last word? It's actually a Devanagari word, a Hindi word, written in Devanagari. But it blends so well with the text that it's not calling you and say, I'm in a different text. So when you are writing a document that composes all 3 scripts, you can actually do that like that. Or you're doing an emphasis, or you're doing, you're quoting a Hindi word and you want to put it in the original word in Hindi, and you put it in there, there's no disharmony in the document, right? I've done an extensive talk about this design in one of the Typographic Society of India videos. The link is also in my blog, muthunedumaran.com, or the Typographic Society of India's YouTube channel. Okay. ஒரே ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் மட்டும் சொல்லிடுறேன். இங்கே என்ன பண்ணேன்னு சொன்னால், அந்த இங்கில் இருக்கிற புள்ளி, இங்கிலீஷ் ஐ மேலே இருக்கிற டாட் ஒரே component. I didn't talk about components yesterday. It's just one component reused, the same புள்ளி across both. The strokes, keep or the key, the terminals of all those strokes are the same as the terminals of the Devanagari and the terminals of the Latin. These are ways that you can actually, it's so much fun. It's a lot. If you're a designer, you're passionate about design, you will have a lot of fun doing this kind of harmony. Okay. This is the reason why I was troubling my very dear friends in RMRL that I must do this from my machine. Sorry, you will see now why. So I'm going to type. This is one way, this is one example of how I stretch technology. I'm not only a designer, before I became I'm not full-time designer yet, so don't discount me. So before I become more involved in design, I was an engineer. So I'm still an engineer. I'm also a font engineer. Like Tariq, I'm also still a font engineer. So I like to stretch my font with as much technology as possible. And my friends in Glyphs, the Glyphs app, they say, we like working with you because you do all these funny things. So I'm going to show you some funny thing. What is that letter? No. I'm going to type my name. I don't know whether I'm going to be right, but let me try. Okay. No, this is Gurmukhi. Ma. Mu, right? That's my name, first name. Then, okay. Now, can you see the Sharorika, the headline? It starts from the top, and then it ends at the bottom, as if, this actually simulates a Sharpie pen. The Sharpie marker? So the stroke starts like that and finishes like that. Have you ever seen like this in any font? Okay. Now I'm going to put a ma at the end, and you see what happens to the terminating point of the Sharorika. The Sharorika keda podillaya, headline keda podillaya. Adu enna avudunu parunga namma achonna. It straightens, right? It joins to the next one. Now I'm going to go in between and cut this, put a space in between. Like a rubber band, right? Yeah. Initially, I did this with a technology called AAT, which is Advanced Apple Typography, which is the other side of OpenType. Then later we found out that we can also do this in OpenType in a roundabout way. So what you're seeing is done in OpenType, which means you can do yourself. You don't have to learn AAT to do this. Unfortunately, it doesn't yet work with Windows. They're still working on it because they need to support a certain type of lookup. But other software, even on Windows, it doesn't work with Microsoft Office, but other software in Windows, it works, right? It doesn't work with Windows on a Mac either. Word on a Mac either, but it works on InDesign, it works on, Pages, the free thing called OpenOffice, LibreOffice, all that it works. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to continue, running out of time. This is another font of mine called Ambal. Just now was Annai. This is called Ambal. Ambal means lotus flower. It's meant for kids. We designed this for kids' games. So we need to introduce some fun element. Can you point out some fun elements here, something that is not conventional, something that makes you wonder if this is a typeface? Just point out one, yeah. Right, excellent. That's because he's a professional font designer, so not fair. Yeah. Can you see the pa, ip and pa, the two pas are different? Im and ma, the two mas are actually different. School, the two O's are different, the book, two O's are different. They're all in the same font, right? So when I type, it actually shifts. If I type, see, can you see the pa? The second pa is different. So again, we use contextual substitution and open type feature. Okay? Can do those kind of things to extend the element. Now in Gurmukhi, you don't see this many repeating letters. Because they have this thing called, they have a letter that does all the repeat. And the letter potangana, it's repeated, germinates. So, but the variation we did in the terminals, in the ending terminals. So if you see the last stroke at the end, it goes upwards. The stroke just before that goes downwards. So we chose those kind of variations, right? And this is another 3-script typeface: Tamil, Latin, and Gurmukhi. When I say Latin, I cover the entire Latin. You can use that to write German. You can use that to write all these European languages that requires all kind of diacritic characters. Okay. I got a few more minutes. Now, I'm going to show you one more example, then I will conclude. How many glyphs do we need to draw to make a fully functional Tamil font? And how do you make sure that all these are working correctly? How many of you have done a Tamil font before? No, there's nothing to be shy about it. No, it's okay. Okay, one person has. How many of you have done a Tamil font before? You have done? Are you pointing at your finger or are you pointing outside? Okay, good. I think you should try. It's a lot of fun. You will enhance your typography skills, type design skills, and you'll contribute to the pool of Tamil font design. I'm going to show you one example of a typeface that I'm still working on. Hold on. No, the type designers will never say the font is finished. You agree? Final touches. Few more strokes to it. That means it's not done yet. So this one, a few more final touches to do. So this is another dual script typeface, basic Latin, not all the extended Latin, basic Latin, Tamil, numbers, you see both Tamil numbers and Latin, the other numbers, all the symbols, Tamil symbols also, all that. Now you'll be wondering, the number of glyphs for me to design is overwhelming, right? You know, it looks like I've designed the entire Tamil Nedunganakku, right? I've also done the old styles. Not really, right? If you look at all the Ikara, like if you look at key, it's actually a combination of two components. You can't see it very clearly here. The Ka and the Ikara Koki are a combination of two components. They are pre-designed. I'm just pre-composing it. I actually don't have to do this. I can just leave Ka as Ka and the E as Koki, and OpenType will take care of shaping it. But the only problem is, because it's the display typeface, occasionally you want to get outlines of this in Illustrator or somewhere, and then you will see the overlaps matching. So I'll pre-compose this. This takes less than a minute for you to do this because I've already done the cut. But not all consonants are designed the same in Tamil, because some are long, some are short. Some, the Igara Koki starts like Ni pathingana, P. It starts from inside, all that. So what I do is I design multiple forms of that. If you see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 types of E Koki. So it'll switch according to the length or the depth you should go in and attach to the base letter. And likewise, all this orange, the smart glyph, all these will not be exported into the font. They are used as smart glyphs to compose. So in general, I will do about less than 200 forms for me to get a full Tamil typeface. And you add Latin in a bit. This thing is done with 340 glyphs, but not all are designed from scratch. A lot of them are component glyphs. Okay, now I've already done this font. I've exported this. Now I want to make sure that when I type ko, it comes as ko. When I type pu, it comes out as pu. Because you don't know, English is what you type is what you get. It's A, B, na B. Tamil, you have a lot of combinations and you want to make sure they're Tamil is not so difficult, but if you look at other Indian languages, they've got matras, they've got signs, they've got all kinds of things that goes into the base glyph. How do you make sure? I want to make sure this has been a big problem in Indian typeface design before, until someone in Malaysia called Muthu Nedumaran designed this software called Hibizcus. If you need to talk to him, let me know. I can give you his contact. Okay, this is a tool called Hibizcus. I developed this over 25 years. But 2 years ago, I put them all together into a suite of tools in one application and push it up into the Mac App Store. It's free and it's also open source. So you can take and do whatever you want with it. Don't even need to tell me. That's the license. You don't even need to tell me what you're doing with it. Okay, the first tab is the fonts tab. Why I use this is when I do fonts for clients come back with a feedback and say, I want this particular letter changed. I change that particular letter, put it back here. They can actually view it and see what has changed and which letter has changed and what the changes are all about. I don't have time to do all that. So I'm going to go to the most important thing, which is a cluster viewer. So I choose the Tamil script. By the way, I load the font into this tool by just dragging the true type and dropping it there. That's all. And then I choose, let's say I choose vowels. I can see, now of course I don't need this. Okay. I see all my vowels there. I see all my consonants in there. What happens if I put a pulli? If I put a pulli, I can see that, okay, alla pulli ella sariyana edathula okkarudhu. Ellame all centered. So this is how the process of doing this is called proofing, which is very, very important, especially for Indian language fonts. Likewise, igara koki. Then I want to make sure igara koki is nice. All that I can do. Now, one last demo is I can also look at words. And I want to look at words that has ka and monosulina. So I type ka, right? And then I say contain any letter, contain only Unicodes in the string, then ore eduthu kana. And I want to say pa, and also the pulli. Then you can see I got about 16 words. You can check. I'm going to also do this. I can check and look at the string viewer, which is another tool. It actually shows you all the glyphs that form this letter. All the glyphs, over glyph வெவ்வேறு colorல இருக்கு, வெவ்வேறு நிறத்துல இருக்கு, different color. You can see how they are forming that letter. The names are all downstairs. Unfortunately, it's not very clear. You can see a lot more detail. You can look at the anchor points, where the connections are going. It actually helps you understand how your fonts work much better, right? So I hope this gives you a view, understanding of what harmony is, how you design multi-script typefaces, what are the things you need to take care of, and what you need to do before you ship your font to the users. Prove it, make sure that it works very well. Now, yesterday we talked about people always complaining not enough Tamil to match English. Now you have fonts that has both on the same font. Then, we hope to see more and more glossy materials with Tamil text in them. Adala nama kaila dhaan irukku. So let's do that. It's not just good for Tamil, it's also good for us because we become better type designers in any script that we want to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's a wonderful lecture. We will go more deep. So any specific questions?
சார் கல்வெட்டுலேயும் ஓலைச்சுவடிலையும் இந்த லெட்டர்ஸ் பேசிக் ஃபார்ம் அது டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக இருக்கும். இப்போ பிரிண்டிங்கில் வரும்போது ஒரு ஸ்டாண்டர்டைஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம். அதுக்கு முன்னாலெல்லாம் வந்து ஒரு எழுத்து உதாரணத்துக்கு நான் எடுத்துட்டோம்னா அது ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்குது, தூன்னு எடுத்துக்கினோம்னா அது ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்குது, லை அது ஒரு மாதிரி, ஒவ்வொன்றும் வெவ்வேறு மாதிரி இருக்குது. அது வந்து ஃபஸ்ட்டு அதை கிளாஸிஃபை பண்ணுறதே பெரிய சேலஞ்சிங். அதுக்கு பிறகு ஸ்டாண்டர்டைஸ் பண்ணிவிட்டு இப்போ மாடர்ன் அந்த பிரிண்டிங் லெட்டருக்கு கொண்டு வரணும். இது எப்படி ஸ்டாண்டர்டைஸ் பண்ணலாம், நீங்கள் என்ன உங்களோட ஒப்பீனியன் என்ன? அது ஒவ்வொரு காலகட்டத்துக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி நம்ம ஸ்டாண்டர்டைஸ் பண்ணிகிட்டே வரணுமா?
இல்லை, அது என்னோட துறை இல்லைங்கய்யா.
இல்லை, நீங்கள் உங்களுடைய ரிசர்ச் வந்து அதை நோக்கி தான் போனால் தான் இந்த சுவடிகளை படிக்கிறதுக்கு அது எளிமையாக இருக்கும்.
சுவடிகளை படிக்கிறது என்னோட ரிசர்ச் இல்லை. ஆமாம், புரியுது, உங்களோட சிரமங்கள் எனக்கு புரியுது.
இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய விஷயங்கள் இருக்குது, அதனால் நிறைய சுவடிகளே வெளிவராமல் இருக்குது.
ஆமாம், என்னோட ரிசர்ச்
ஏரியாவில் கொஞ்சம் ஒர்க் பண்ணுங்க.
சரிங்க, நன்றி.
கண்டென்சேஷன் பற்றி சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா, 2-3 இடத்துல வந்து கேரமோண்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. கேரமோண்ட் வந்து ஒரு மாதிரி ஈஸியாக இந்த சவுத் ஏஷியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ் கூட ஒர்க் ஆகிருக்கு. என்ன ரீசன்னால கேரமோண்ட் வந்து அந்த ஈஸியாக பிளெண்ட் ஆகுதுன்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க?
Sri தான் ஆன்சர் பண்ண கொஸ்டின். Why is Garamond, why people feel Garamond is a better font for certain usage? They find that easier to print and all that. சொல்லுங்க.
We are using 2 languages, and for English we are using Garamond. It's not inclusive.
Okay. So what you mean is, if you have Tamil and English, people use Garamond for English because they think it's not intrusive. It doesn't.
Yeah, I think being a modulated font, most of the South Indian scripts by nature, if you look at the origin, were of a modulated nature.
Right.
So historically, Garamond was one of the earliest modulated serif fonts. So, and it was a front runner in the metal type era.
Right.
So if you look at the 50s and 60s, it was extremely popular in the Asian countries. That is one of the reasons. But the way the weight is modulated across the strokes, it blends well with Tamil and Malayalam. So
excellent. Yeah. My only, I won't say disagreement, my only observation is, Garamond is an upright font, upright design. Tamil text by nature is slanted. ஏன்னா ஓலைச்சுவடின்னு சொன்னார், ஓலைச்சுவடியிலேருந்து பெரும்பாலான எழுத்துக்கள் வந்து சாய்வாக தான் எழுதுவாங்க. ஸோ சாய்வான எழுத்துக்கள் தமிழில் சாய்வு எழுத்து போட்டுட்டு தென் Garamond அப்ரைட் போடும்போது அதுக்கு காரணம் என்னன்னா, நமக்கு வேறு வழி இல்லை. There is no other choice, so we are using Garamond, which is okay. My wish is we will have a typeface that matches the Tamil and use that for English. Then, it blends and gives you the harmony.
Muthu, I know you speak about 4 languages, but you have designed fonts probably for a dozen or 20 or more. So how do you design for languages you don't speak or can't read?
Oh, lovely. Excellent. Well, I've designed for, thanks, Venkat.
You have to answer it now because I've asked on the mic.
Yeah, thank you. Venkat is a very long time friend of mine. I've designed fonts for all of the scheduled scripts in India, and the latest one that I did was for Nag Mundari script for Google. It's a Google Noto Sans Nag Mundari was done by me. It's a good question. I don't speak Nag Mundari. I don't even speak Hindi. I speak Malay, I understand Chinese. But how do I do Devanagari font? How do I do... First, நம்ம மைண்டில் என்ன போட்டுக்கணும்னா, we are a designer. So all of you, we are first designers. And I go to the local places. I wish I can for all the other... I wish I had gone to the Munda community and see how they're actually doing it. I couldn't get the chance to do that. But every time I travel to any state in India, I've traveled almost all states in India, probably except Assamese. He's been inviting me, I've not been. I look at the signboards, I look at the hand-painted signages, And that will give me an understanding of how a native will draw the strokes. Understanding how the form looks like alone is not enough, but how the strokes are drawn by the native speaker of the script is most paramount important, especially when you're designing a font for a language you don't speak. Initially, I must also give you my bad moment. When I first designed fonts for Apple, there are 53 of my fonts in Apple. Of course, there are 2 more that just came in. When I did it for, say, Myanmar, I've done for Myanmar, I've done for Laos, I've done for Cambodia, which is Khmer font, they're all my fonts. When I did for Myanmar, the only source I had was, I think it's Peninsula Plaza in Singapore, because that's where the huge Burmese community are there. So Myanmar newspapers largo. So I went there, bought those newspapers, you know. I think I even spoke to a few people, asked them to write those letters, show me how they write and all that. If I demonstrate to you my crazy idea, you'll understand what I'm trying to do. And then to understand, design panni kuda, when it shipped out in Apple, there was a big complaint from one person in Myanmar who said, we must have a Burmese to design this font. It doesn't look native enough. I was very, of course we fixed it. There was 1 or 2 characters that didn't look native. He could have just pointed out to me how to fix it, but he said, so every community on the planet value the scripts so dearly. So like Venkat says, if you're designing it for another script that you don't speak, it's best go look at how they are, how it is used by the people there. Look at the blackboard, you know, the whiteboards la eluduvangala, marker pen la eppadi eluduranga, chalk la eppadi eluduranga, calligraphy eppadi pandranga. You understand all that, you appreciate the stroke. I can now close my eyes and design a Devanagari font. Not literally, but you know what I'm trying to say. Because I know each and every stroke of Devanagari, because I've seen in Maharashtra, I've seen it in Delhi, I've seen it in all this, because I appreciated that. Can I do the same for Oriya? Not yet. Or Odia? Not yet. Because I've not been there to see how the Odia people write the Odia, which is one of my goals to go and see. So you're right. I mean, that's how I do that. And the other thing is, you first declare yourself a designer and don't confine yourself to any language. Free, you know, the entire India is your market. You know, you can, entire world is your market. India solittu na poi world panna seri irukadu. Okay, any other questions? Thanks, Venkat. Good question.
Any other question from students?
Yeah.
இப்போ நீங்க கிளிப்ஸ் பத்தி சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா, இப்போ இகர வரிசை அதுக்கெலாம் வந்து தனித்தனி கிளிப்ஸ் வந்து இருக்குது. மேலே கொக்கி போடுறது இருக்கட்டும், இல்லை ஒத்த கொம்பு போடுறது, ரெட்டை கொம்பு போடுறதுன்ட்டு. இந்த உகர வரிசை வருது இல்லையா, கூணு சூணு அதுலேயே நெடில், இதுக்கு வந்து தனியாக கிளிப்ஸ் கிடையாது. ஒவ்வொன்றுமே தனித்தனி லெட்டர் ஃபார்மேஷனில் தான் இருக்கும். இதை வந்து தமிழ் மொழியில் இதுக்குன்னு ஒரு கிளிப்ஸை வந்து, அதாவது ஒரு சிம்பிளை வந்து க்ரியேட் பண்ணால் அது கம்ப்யூட்டருக்குள்ளே போகும்பொழுது வேலையை வந்து சிம்பிளாக்கும், அதுக்கான ஸ்பேஸையோ இல்லை டைமையோ குறைக்கும், அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரியான ஐடியாஸ் வந்து தேவைப்படுமா?
நல்ல கேட்டதுக்கு நன்றி. நல்ல கேள்வி, ரொம்ப பாப்புலரான கேள்வி. Rule number 1, never change the script. ஸோ என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் தமிழ் எழுத்து ரொம்ப அழகாக இருக்குது. யூனோ, the computer must comply to the beauty of the script, and we don't change the script because the computer doesn't understand. So that's my rule number 1 for any script. Rule number 2, நீங்கள் சொன்ன அந்த குழப்பங்கள் எல்லாம் தீர்க்கறதுக்கு வந்து ஓப்பன் டைப்பில் வந்து எல்லா ஃபீச்சர்ஸும் இருக்குது. இப்போ உகாரத்துக்கு தனித்தனியாக இருக்குன்னு நீங்கள் தனித்தனியாக டிசைன் பண்ணிவிட்டு தா உகர கொக்கி அடிச்சிங்கன்னா அது தூவா மாறணும் அப்படின்ற கட்டளையை போடுறதுக்கு, ஃபாண்ட்லேயே அந்த கட்டளையை போடுறதுக்கு நிறைய ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்குது இப்போது. ஸோ அதனால் எந்த தடையும் கிடையாது, கொஞ்சம் கூட தடை கிடையாது. தேர் இஸ் நாட் ஈவன் அ கிளிப் யூனோ அயோட்டா ஆஃப் ப்ராப்ளம். அது ரெண்டுங்களா. மூணாவது, ஃபார் டிசைன் பண்ணும்போது இந்த ஊகார குறியீடு வந்து வரிசை வந்து ஒரு 4-5 விதமாக தான் மாறுபடும். ஒன்று எல்லாம் சுழிச்சிட்டு மேலே போவோம். ஸோ ஊ, டு, லூ, இதெல்லாம் சுழிச்சிட்டு மேலே போவோம். இன்னொன்று நேராக கீழே இறங்கும். பூ பூ பா ங பா வா யா, இதெல்லாம் கீழே போவோம். இன்னொன்று வந்து சுழிச்சிட்டு மேலே போவோம். து ரு நு, இவ்வளோ தான். சு ஒரு எக்ஸப்ஷன் விட்டுருங்க, மற்றதெல்லாம் ஒரே மாதிரி தான். சுழிச்சிட்டு மேலே போவோம், கீழே வரும், சுழிச்சு இப்படி கீழே போவோம். 3 தான். இந்த 3 வந்து கம்போனன்ட்ஸ் வழியாக ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக டிசைன் பண்ணிடலாம். தொடக்கத்தில் நீங்கள் கேட்ட மாதிரி தான் எனக்கும் இருந்துச்சு. தொடக்கத்தில் வந்து இந்த ஊகாரம் தான் பெரிய தலைவலின்னு சொல்லி நினச்சிட்டு இருந்தேன் நான். ஆனால் இப்போ அது ரொம்ப ஈஸி. ரொம்ப நான் ஆக்சுவலி என்ஜாய் பண்ணிட்டு செய்வேன். கிளிப்ஸில் வந்து ஸ்மார்ட் கம்போனன்ட்ஸ்னு போடுவாங்க. எப்படின்னா ஒரு தர டிசைன் பண்ணிவிட்டு மவுஸை வச்சே திருப்பலாம். இங்கே நானா வந்துட்டாரா, நாக்கை நீட்டுறது அவர் பார்த்தேன். சா வந்து நாக்கை நீட்டணும் கரைக்கணுன்றதை காமிச்சேன். அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணும்பொழுதுங்க ஊகாரத்தை பண்ணும்போது இப்போ இந்த சுழிச்சிட்டு மேலே வருதுங்க இல்லைங்களா, நூக்கு வந்து ரொம்ப தூரம் உள்ளுக்கு போயிட்டு மேலே வரும் 3 சுழி நூக்கு. ஆனால் தன்னகர நூக்கு வந்து கிட்டே போயிடும். அதை ஒரே ஒரு கம்போனன்ட் கிளிஃபாக பண்ணிவிட்டு நூக்கு கீழே போகும்போது இப்படி இழுக்கலாம், அங்கே போய் இப்படி இழுக்கலாம். ஜஸ்ட் இஸ் மவுஸ் வச்சு ட்ராக் பண்ணுறது தான். ஸோ அது மாதிரி ரொம்ப சுலபமாக பண்ணிடலாம். எழுத்துக்களை வடிவங்களை மாற்றணும் அப்படின்றது வந்து பெரிய வேலை, தேவையில்லாத வேலை என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும். நன்றி.
எனி கொஸ்டின்?
இங்கே ஒரு கேள்வி.
Check. Do you want to comment on AI font?
AI font. ஓ, யாராச்சும் கேட்பாங்களான்னு நினச்சேன்.
Generates fonts.
ஸோ இங்கே வந்து கனித்தமிழில் யாரோ கேட்டாங்க என்ன, ஏஐயில் வந்து ஜெனரேட்டிவ் ஏஐ நிறையா வந்துட்டதுனால ஃபாண்ட்டெல்லாம் ஏஐ பண்ணிடுமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. இஃப் யூ ஆர் பிளானிங் அ கரியர் இன் டைப் டிசைன், don't worry, your job is secured for the next 3 or 4 decades. AI is not going to design fonts. அதுக்கு காரணம் என்னன்னா, you need a few hundred million fonts to feed into the learning, to the training model for AI to understand how this thing works. தமிழுக்கு அவ்வளோ இல்லை. ஸோ அது ஒன்றா. ரெண்டாவது வந்து even if there is something like Shri and நம்ம Tariq ரெண்டு பேரும், you saw the way they decide expressive typography. You know, like I love the meditation part where the eye actually disappears. You know, it's so beautiful. இதெல்லாம் வந்து AI பண்ணாது சார். அது எப்படி நான் disappear பண்ணணும்னு கேட்போம் அது. So we are safe. You know, I think design is one. Of course, illustration, absolutely. You know, they are doing beautiful job. ஒரே ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்கிறேன். Just to go, எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கொழுப்பு, எதை பார்த்தாலும் இதில் தமிழில் பண்ண முடியுமான்னு சொல்லி ஒரு கொழுப்பு. ஸோ I went and did ஒரு இமேஜ் ஜெனரேஷன் ஏஐ என்ஜினுக்கிட்டு போய் ஐ ரோட் இட். அது கூட இங்கிலீஷில் எழுதலை, தமிழில் எழுதுகிறேன். அவ்வளோ கொழுப்பு. அப்படி எப்படி எழுதுனேன் தெரியுங்களா? ஐ ரோட் ஓலைச்சுவடியில் எழுதப்பட்ட திருக்குறள் அப்படின்னு தமிழில் எழுதி கேட்டேன், வரைஞ்சி கொடுக்க சொல்லி. அது கொடுத்த இமேஜ் பார்த்தேன்னு சொன்னால், ஐ டோன்ட் நோ how many of you follow me in Facebook. I think I posted this once. அது கொடுத்த இமேஜ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, நான் சொன்னதை அது புரிஞ்சிக்கிச்சின்னு அர்த்தம். இட் அண்டர்ஸ்டுட் வாட் ஐ வாஸ் ட்ரைங் டு சே அப்படின்றது நல்லா புரியும். ஆனால் வந்தது வந்து ஏதோ ஒரு பழைய காலத்து மாளிகை மாதிரி இருக்குது, பழங்கால எழுத்து மேலே அப்படியே காஃப் பண்ண மாதிரி இருக்குது. அங்குள்ள முனிவர்களோட மூஞ்செல்லாம் வந்து வெள்ளைக்காரனுக்கு தமிழ் தாடி போட்டால் எப்படி இருக்குமோ அந்த மாதிரி போட்டு வந்துருச்சு. It understood what I was trying to say, but because there's not enough data, the text it wrote had nothing to do with Tamil or Tirukkural. So it'll take some time. Will it get there? Probably. Now I'm speaking as a designer, not as an engineer. Thank you. Good question. That's it? Satya, are we okay? All right. Nandringa, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.